I have not been to Minnesota in probably 20 years.
Bring gas. Welcome to Flagrant Howls, a Minnesota Timberwolves lifestyle podcast.
All right, boys, before we get to our very special guest here, a very noteworthy special guest on Flagrant Howls, we are giving away, I shouldn't say giving away, I guess. We're not that generous, but we're basically giving away Wolves tickets for $15 in the month of March to select Wolves games. And there's only a few days left in March here, so you can do the math. But we're hooking you up. We partnered with the Timberwolves. Target Center is gearing up for the playoffs, so you can visit timberwolves.com/March and use the code SCORE! That's SKOR! And get your $15 Wolves tickets. Max of 4 tickets per account. Tickets will be sent within 48 hours of the game date purchased. And restrictions do apply. Tickets not eligible for resale, but you'll probably have fun watching the Timberwolves hopefully beat some bad teams on the schedule here. And then, Dex, whether the Wolves win or lose, I think everyone wins when they walk across the street from Target Center to Kieran's, right?
Yeah, it's a great spot for game days, pregame, postgame. They have game day specials, bunch of TVs on the screen. In fact, we will be there for those Timberwolves and Twins fans that align. We'll actually be at Kieran's hanging out next Thursday from 1 to 2 o'clock at Kieran's Irish Pub for a Score North Twin show as well. But whether you're a Wolves, Twins fan, doesn't matter. Go stop in at Kieran's. Your pregame and postgame should always start at Kieran's Irish Pub.
All right. He is a noted, accomplished, and esteemed fellow. You know him from the Life Gorgeous podcast and YouTube channel. You know him from his wildly interesting Instagram account. You may have seen him on a late night show a few years back, but you definitely know him as a hardcore Timberwolves and Minnesota sports fan. Let's bring him in here. Sir Craig Kilborn himself. Kilby making his return to Flagrant Howls.
Good to see you guys. And congratulations on the success of Score North. Purple Daily is a must-watch during the Viking season and during the off-season as we load up the offensive line and the defensive line.
That's right. All you've wanted for years is for Garrett Bradbury's life to be upended and altered. And
Who was that other guy?
You finally got what you wanted.
Who was the other guy we drafted? He was a guard. And we got
Ed Ingram?
No.
Pat Elflein?
Yeah.
Pat Elflein.
He was highly rated out of college. And we got rid of him. And I always was so excited when we get these guys. Before I begin, just for Judd, we have some breaking news. Kaprizov and Joel Eriksson are going to be skating in the next few days. Looks like the Wild are going to sneak in with a wild card. Mm-hmm. And remember, Judd, stay positive. Anything can happen if the Wild make the wild card and make the playoffs. Anything can happen.
It's hockey, Judd.
Thank you for the positivity.
Positive Craig coming in.
Yeah, positive Craig.
Positive Craig.
I know that you're well versed on puck itself and the Wild specifically. So I do appreciate that.
Concerned about the 40-year-old, goaltending, but that's always rough. Unless you're Gump Worsley, it's hard to play when you're 40. But
Gump with no mask on, Bobby hole shots hitting him in the face, knocking him out.
I would listen to a 40-minute podcast, maybe a Judd's hockey show, where Kilby and Sports Dad just throw random hockey names out from the 70s
I
and
still like
80s.
saying Jude Druin. I like the name Jude Druin.
Old school North Stars segments with Kilby.
Yeah. We all had to play hockey growing up. I had to play hockey. I played hockey.
I'm trying to envision you, tall Craig Kilborn, a baby deer on skates back in the day.
This is the key. I played it. I stopped playing in 4th or 5th grade because the guy came into the shed, the heated shed near the rink with the team, and he said, Kilborn, you got to make a choice. Are you going to play hockey or are you going to play basketball? Because if it's not hockey, then get the hell out. And I said, bye-bye, because I was really good at basketball. I started playing in 2nd grade. But I played defense and I could skate backwards.
Oh, you could skate backwards.
That was the key. That was the key. I could skate backwards.
So you were decent then.
Yes.
That's pretty good to skate backwards.
It's funny. I was always very coordinated as a child. I played point guard at 6'5". I was coordinated. Didn't have great endurance. I have a bad lower back. Hurts. Defensive stance hurts my lower back. Probably I was going to do a Wally Zerbiak joke. Probably about as good as Wally on defense. No, I'm kidding.
Where you dribble behind your back, you have to look behind you to see where the ball is, and then keep going forward. Yeah. So let me ask you this. We'll start the Timberwolves fodder out this way. We've ridden the roller coaster on this show. I mean, it feels like we do our State of the Wolves episodes on Monday, and like every week it's, they've won 4 games in the last week or 8 games. And then like this last week, it's inexplicable losses to the Pacers backups and then the Pelicans.
Yeah.
How would you explain this year's Timberwolves team to like an alien who landed here from outer space? How would you describe them in like one sentence?
Well, there's a cliche that we can beat anybody and lose to anybody. I don't really like that, but we actually are good. And I don't know what's going to happen in the playoffs, in the play-in, but I do like that we play good team defense. And the offense was clicking. So the 8-game, I'm going long now to the alien. I'm dismissing the alien. Now I'm talking to you.
A lot of commas
guys.
in this sentence to the alien. Yeah.
Long dashes.
So it all started back
we
in 1989, alien. Okay.
We had an 8-game winning streak, and it didn't really bother me that we lost at home to the undermanned Pacers because they played way over their head, and Obi Toppin played way over his head. It's a fluke. Now then, losing the next game to New Orleans is bothersome, and then playing the Pacers and getting spanked in Indiana is irritating. Although the Pacers know how to run and push, and that's a way to expose the Wolves. But I am confident against OKC. I think I'd rather play OKC than Denver, actually, even though we have Denver's number. I think I'd rather play OKC in the first round as opposed to the Lakers because of the refereeing, the cynical Kilby on the NBA.
That's not a bad point, because you can say, well, the Wolves would have more size and this and that and the other, maybe more depth, but there is a certain, they're going to get 10 more free throw attempts minimum than you factor in a series against the Lakers for sure.
Yeah, so I like the team. I like that the offense started clicking. I actually will jump into my big point. And Phil, you actually tweeted it recently. All the pressure's on the Ant-Man. Your best player has to dominate, and he has to make better decisions on offense. He has to play more cerebral. I won't use my famous term floor game. He has to improve his floor game, but he has to make better decisions, and it's all on Ant, in my opinion.
Yeah.
What's your opinion then of his ups and downs? And it seems like that there are games against Kilby, not great teams, where he does not show up as much. And I do find it intriguing. We went through this, I think it was on the show a couple of days ago as well. Some of his metrics, like around the basket, have really gone down. The 3-point shooting is up. It's impressive. But it has been a weird year, it feels like, from Ant's point. And I don't know if he's a little bit tired from the Olympics or what, but how would you sort of summarize his season?
I'm concerned. I think he's unbelievable, but I was worried a few years ago that in 5 years will we say, yeah, he's talented, but he just not fundamentally sound, he's not going to win. Mm-hmm. But last year, I put all the pressure on him prior to the playoffs, and then he answered the bell. He plays really well in the playoffs.
Did he know that you specifically put all the pressure on him going into the playoffs?
That's a question for Pablo Prigioni.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. But no, there's pressure on this guy, and I'm disappointed. I'm really disappointed in his shot selection, because I love that he worked on his jump shot and he improved it, but he hunts it way too much. And his shot selection, he forces up threes. So I'm a little disappointed, but I like to say I hold space that he will come alive in the playoffs.
Yeah, the holding space thing, that's a good way to put it. It's a good it's mindfulness for anxiety-ridden sports fans. But he's probably 3 years away from whatever his peak is. And so we talk about this throughout the year. It's this perspective of there are things that deserve criticism right now, whether it's his obsession with the step back three in moments where the defense wants you to take that shot, or just kind of his immaturity. we know that playoff Ant is a thing. We need like Wednesday night Pelicans Ant to show up more often. That's kind of a maturity thing. But then there's also just going to be a natural evolution from a 23-year-old to a 26-year-old that we have to use your phrase, leave space for him to grow. Hold space for him to grow. The at the rim stuff is the most concerning to me. That Jace Frederick put out a great series of stats last week that he's having this historic. He's one of the only players in NBA history, Steph Curry and like Damian Lillard and Klay Thompson and Ant, to shoot 10 3-pointers per game at 40% make rate.
Yeah.
But his mid-range game is near the bottom of the league. He is outside the top 170 players in the league at the rim field goal percentage.
Yeah.
It's like if I were to just tell you that, he's a freight train physically, and he's shooting like 20% less than some of the best players at the rim. That's weird.
Yeah, I was always surprised around the rim that he had a left hand when I first saw him play in the NBA. I go, wow, he has a left hand. But I don't think this applies, but I just like saying it. When Jason Kidd was traded from the Phoenix Suns to the Nets, so some of the front office of the Suns were like, good, we don't have to watch him miss any more layups, because Jason Kidd would be lightning fast and throw it up and miss some layups. And it's weird when guys miss layups. It really is.
Rubio was like that too. Is that underhand scoop layup?
Yeah.
You come in too hot.
But Ant's too good. The thing I don't
Correct.
get is Ant's done this before, and he's too good.
Yeah.
Like, where did it go?
Yeah. He has to improve, and I don't know why he's missing his layups. I do know there's this thing. This is really inside basketball, but when you're athletic, you love beating your man off the dribble and driving, and you concentrate. And when you're not, when you're a slow white boy, you shoot threes, and you don't think about driving as much. And I think it's a mentality. So I don't know if he's just wrapped up in shooting the perimeter jump shot, the threes, and not concentrating when he drives. But he's got to get back to. I think what you're saying is, statistically, he's missing more layups this year than in the past. Is the way the eye test for me.
It is, and I think even and he's never been an elite at the rim converter. But even relative to his career baseline, it's been worse this year. And anecdotally, how many times do you watch a game? And to his credit, he barely shot free throws in the first 2 months because he was jacking 15 threes a game. And then all of a sudden, he shot like 30 free throws in December, I think it was. And then it was 130 in January. So he made a concerted effort to get to the rim more. But how many times do you watch a game and there's 3 or 4 different and one opportunities, and he gets hit, and he's and they're playing physical when he goes to the rim, but it's like, I feel like you got to convert 2 of those 4 at the rim for an and one, and he doesn't. Anecdotally,
pressure's on him, as we've just hammered to the audience. Pressure's
so
on
we're all
Ant.
out on Ant here. We
The
trade
audience
him. Is that what we're
knows
saying?
right
He's
now.
out.
But let me say something. My
Andy
other
Williams.
thing, I sometimes defend him and say he needs help. He needs a second banana. He needs another guy. And so let me say a few things about Julius Randle. But before I get there, I like heady ball players. I like Mike Conley. He's older, but he's playing well now. I like this Jaylen Clark because I already know he's great on defense, and the steals in the backcourt are amazing.
It's
but
hilarious.
he's kind of economical on offense, and he can handle the ball and drive, and he's making his shot. And so I hope he gets some run, because he doesn't, like he said in the post game, he goes, well, they play me a lot because I don't turn it over. He actually said that. So I don't know what you guys think of Jaylen Clark, but it's been a joy to watch him.
Yeah, he's a favorite.
I'm a
Judd's
complete
been on him.
stan. I love this kid because he doesn't. Here's what I love about his style and his approach. Kilby, there's no flash. He has no interest in flash. He doesn't act young. He plays defensive first, which is all just grit, and he knocks down shots. But you never see I knocked that shot down. He just sort of like, yeah, of course I did. I love it because he plays like he's been in the league for 10 years. And he could take a victory lap right now, right? Like he's playing more. He's excited. He does not. he has the maturity of like a guy who's 30 plus, which I think is fantastic.
He plays solid hoops. He probably watches Dillingham dribble and just giggles like, what are you doing? You know how Dillingham is always between his legs.
Do you think, to that point, do you think Rob Dillingham will ever pass Jaylen Clark in terms of like status on the team? I mean, Jaylen Clark is high, Finch puts him in the game. He's in the rotation. They're fully healthy. And Dillingham is a garbage time guy. Dillingham might have a higher offensive ceiling. But as a total player, do you think Dillingham ever passes Jaylen Clark on the Wolves pecking order?
He could if he becomes, in the next few years, if he's still on the team, if they don't trade him. Because I don't know how high Finchy is on Dillingham. But anyway, but as fans, we do appreciate talent and explosiveness. And if he's one of these guys that comes off the bench like a Malik Monk for the Kings, who finished second to Naz Reid in six-man last year, the fans will appreciate how talented. It's fun to see a guy who's explosive that can just, blow by everybody. Yeah. But they're apples and oranges because one guy is the steadying guy and the other guy's the flashy guy. So I don't know how the fans are going to react. I mean, we like Nick Bonkwinkle, but Billy Robinson was a technician. You guys don't remember Billy Robinson, do you?
Nick Bockwinkel for sure. It's pretty rare to get a wrestling reference past this show.
Billy Robinson was a British wrestler who was a little bit like Vern Gagne. He was a technician. Yeah. Black trunks. Knee pads. Yeah, just really. Anyways, pro wrestling was a big deal to me growing up in Minnesota.
It's still very much a big deal to Declan and myself.
Yeah, that's right. This show, Kilby, it's a huge
If
deal.
you want to go to Vegas in a few weeks for WrestleMania with us, let us know.
I don't follow it anymore, but I remember I went to the Met Center in the 80s. I was back from college, and my brother and I went to see some big wrestling event at the Met Center. And Mean Gene Okerlund was like, the inner catacombs of Met Center and whatever he said. But I saw Jimmy Superfly Snuka jump from the top rope, and it was a big deal. That's kind of all I remember. I know Hulk was there, but all I remembered was Jimmy Superfly Snuka.
I might have been at this one. There was one I was at the Met on, I think it was a Sunday night, and the Twins got home. The Twins played like Cleveland in an afternoon game, and literally halfway through the match, Brunansky, Herbeck, and Gaetti walk in because they loved wrestling. Those guys loved it, and they got a huge hand. And Hulk was there. The one I recall though about that day was the presence of one of my favorites of all time, George the Animal Steele.
Oh.
Eating the turnbuckle with his bushels of back 80s. Hair.
Yeah.
Yes, great back hair.
Oh yeah. That was fun. I told you this story before, I think, but I love it. But I was, 5 years old. We moved from Florham Park, New Jersey to Hastings, Minnesota. My dad worked in St. Paul. He chose this nice, charming little town nestled on the Mississippi. And when Dad called for supper, we all had to come to the dinner table. I was the youngest of three. And he said it was Saturday night. He says dinner. So I get there, dining room, right outside off the living room. And my brother and sister are watching TV and they're not coming to the table. And they're like, oh my God, the guy just took his thumb and put it in his eye. Now he's picking up a chair. And I'm like, what are they talking about? You stay here, son. And that was their first introduction to wrestling. And we watched it all the time, man. But it was so funny to hear my brother and sister say, he just put his thumb in the guy's eye and now they're picking up a chair.
And then it's kind of crazy how much they've had to push the limits of like what actually qualifies as cringeworthy. Like in the 70s or 80s, it was, a thumb in the eye. And last week on national TV, you had John Moxley take like a nail spiked bat to the back, blood everywhere. Anyways.
So I think the Wolves are going to do okay.
Yeah. So back to Jaylen Clark. Actually, back to Jaylen Clark for a second. You touched on the inbound steals thing.
Oh.
That's one of in this weird up and down Wolves season, one of my favorite little wrinkles is the fact that Jaylen Clark has broken the NBA regular season matrix and rhythm, and that there's a certain when you get to the playoffs, everything is heightened and you're picking guys up full court more and you're expending more energy because you get the off days. In the regular season, someone scores a bucket in the second quarter and, like the other team kicks the ball back inbounds and there's no concern about someone maybe pickpocketing the inbounds pass until Jaylen Clark showed up.
I love it.
And he's done it like 6 times in the last month.
Yeah, you mentioned Rubio. I was a Rubio fan, even though he couldn't shoot, but man, he would steal the ball every game. I go, man, don't these guys know? How does this guy stealing the ball all the time? So it's so demoralizing to the other team when you're sloppy and this guy sneaks in there. He's a keeper. I just want to be honest though. I was a huge Josh Okogie fan. We had to get rid of him because he couldn't shoot. But this guy right now, it's the honeymoon period and he's amazing.
Is he a rich man's Josh Okogie?
Well, I say Josh Okogie with a jump shot, but I don't know. But he's making his shot as of now. Wish he'd learn how to run instead of the little toe run, but that's okay. We can work on that.
His running style.
No, it's not affecting him. But no, I think, Naz is starting to hit a few shots. He was in a slump. I like I don't like him as much as some people, but I like him because he obviously has to bring the ball up. Dante's the guy that I really like watching, Dante DiVincenzo. Mm-hmm. And he's been, he was shooting the lights out, and he'll get back to that. But, I can't wait. I don't know what's going to happen. Do you guys, what's your gut? Do we avoid the play-in, or is it too hard to tell right now?
I think the play-in, I think it's a lock. I think it's
we can't move up to 6,
yeah,
right?
I don't think it's possible at this point. And it stinks. You got a loaded Western Conference. I don't see them being able to get up and get out of it, but I have good confidence they get out of that plan. They don't have to play the second play-in game. They'll beat it's the Clippers or whoever it is. I think they can get through it. On Naz though, Craig, what do you make of him being like his future with the Wolves as in this bench guy? Should he be starting? I mean, do you like him coming off the bench more? When he was starting, I mean, it was efficient as heck, and I know he kind of more had to start due to the injuries. But where do you kind of fall on what is the Naz Reid long-term plan with the Wolves?
It's a great question. I always say that I like Naz. Everyone else loves him. I say he's popular because if his name was Joe Reed, he wouldn't be as popular. People like the name Naz.
We do, yeah.
But
we like names that are a little off the beaten path, and then if your name is like an ooh sound, like a Lou Ford or a Trevor Plouffe or something.
Perfect for a beach towel. That's why we love it. Like the beach towel is the greatest promotion of all time. It's like that name is perfect for the beach towel.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen with him. I just find him a little too inconsistent for me. Yeah. He makes shots I don't think he's going to make. He throws up kind of these awkward left-handed drives sometimes and they go in. But I'm lukewarm on Naz and Julius Randle. I just want to say one positive thing about Julius Randle. He started to play well in the half-court offense. When you can break down the defense, that's when you have a great point guard who can just penetrate and then kick out. It just changes. It makes it so much easier. Well, this guy breaks down the defense and kicks out, which is nice. Drives me up the wall when he doesn't see a double team coming and he turns it over. I loathe turnovers more than most people. Yeah. But so Randle can be good. I just think for what we want as far as a championship, there's got to be another superstar. There's got to be another player that's not on the roster now to help Ant.
So you don't, because that's a good follow-up on the Naz conversation. The Naz thing is so hard because he is beloved. When he's playing at his best, if you get like the peak version of Naz Reid, and you see it sometimes for 2 or 3 week stretches, he is kind of a secondary scorer, a guy that can pour in 20-plus points and get hot from 3. And some of the analytics bear out that the Wolves are great with that version of him on the court with all lineup combinations. But then he's got this with Naz Reid and Jaden McDaniels, the best version of both of them. You could see as like maybe the second dude next to Ant. But then, like, Jaden McDaniels the last week or so, he gives you a couple games where he's grabbing no rebounds or 6 points and a rebound, and the variance for both those players is so wide. So I guess is there any world where if they're going to win a championship and Ant needs a true number 2 guy in that pecking order, are we definitively saying that guy is not on the team right now in
That's
any
what
way, shape, or form?
That's what I believe. I always have a, hope. I was hoping that Rob Dillingham would be, really, really, really good, like better than Nick Van Exel or whatever, just really a scorer. But I've kind of come back to reality. I think I just pull for him, but I just don't know about him. But I don't think
Bones Highland. Can Bones Highland be the number 2?
Nick Van Exel. That name makes me so happy to hear.
By the way, Nick Van Exel always stood like 5 feet behind the free throw line too, right?
Yeah.
It's a better angle for him, I guess.
So yeah, it's not the player's not on the roster, and I don't know who it is out there. I just, I really know how point guards really. I like Cade Cunningham. I want to get a guy. Doesn't he? Even though he turns it over, like he had 9 turnovers when they lost to the Warriors or something.
Yeah.
But we need somebody to handle the ball more so than Ant all the time. And
were you excited by because there was like a week where there was some De'Aaron Fox rumors before he wound up going to San Antonio, a player, a running mate in the backcourt.
It's funny you say that, because I was like concerned about how they would, he's a scorer, De'Aaron Fox. I was concerned about how they would play together with Ant, De'Aaron Fox and Ant. So I'm not sure, and I'm not, as people always ask me, what do you think of KD in the summer? I'm Kevin Durant. I'm like, I love him, but I just don't. 2 years? I want somebody else. There's a guy for the Knicks that had a triple-double last night.
Oh yeah. That Carl.
I'm sorry. Phil he texted me privately. Do not bring up. No, I'm just kidding.
You know what's funny is remember, like when the Wolves had won their 8th straight game, and I put it out on Twitter. I think I sent it to our little Wolves group chat with Craig and then our guy Scott Shapiro. And it was, would you make this trade right now? Would you, if you're the Wolves, would you trade Julius Randle, Dante DiVincenzo, and the Pistons' first-round pick for Karl Anthony Towns? And I would say like 75% of people said, no, you would not make that trade now. And then the other 25% just dunked on me for not getting over the trade to begin with. But, yeah, I mean.
My thing was, I love Cat, and my big 30,000-foot view is I'm an NBA fan, so I was happy that KG got to go play in Boston. I'm happy for Cat, and I was okay. If you want to trade, they want to trade him, I guess it was mainly for money, but I know his idiosyncrasies drive people up the wall. If Dante and Julius Randle just played like their top, as well as they can play, it's a good trade. I mean, you got two guys that are really good.
But you could say the same about Cat too, man. If he could just play up to his standard against the Mavericks in the Western Conference Finals.
And Dante on that contract too. Like that's the thing is it's a great contract.
Yeah, and he is really fun to watch. Now he is one. I'm a perfectionist where he'll drive. I go, look at him drive, and he'll throw up a shot and miss. Some guys, they just throw up these floaters, and they don't have a chance. But he passes quick. His release is lightning quick. He's really fun to watch. But he missed a couple threes in the big game at home, and he missed some free throws. But I just, I don't know who the guy is, but if we had a young Mike Conley, we need another guy to steady the forces and to help out the Ant-Man.
So if you're Tim Conley and it's summertime, and let's just say Julius opts in, but he can be traded, and Naz needs a contract, which he's going to, what do you do?
It's a great question. That's the second great question. There's only been two. The alien question was just, it was too weird.
Yeah, no, that's fair. We got
some people
some
outside
time
the box.
I'll hunt for a good question here. We'll see if I can get one. Yeah.
I think my short answer is, in my opinion, and I want to hear what you guys think, I think Julius Randle is better than Naz Reid. Not by much. But,
I agree.
Oh, you okay?
Naz is better at some things.
Yeah.
Better 3-point shooter.
Oh my God, yes. Drives me
but-
up the wall. Julius Randle's threes.
Julius is a better rebounder. Julius is a bigger physical presence down low.
Right.
Naz probably better just fast break up and down if the game is being played at pace. Julius as a defender, I think I would take over Naz. I mean,
that's a tough call. They're both
Naz is 4 years younger.
Yeah. Anyway, so I'm pulling for the Wolves. I'm prepared for anything. I'm staying optimistic that they will make the playoffs if they're in the play-in. And I know you said you have a hard out, but I want to talk a little Vikings if you allow me.
Oh, 100%. We're more from Sir Craig Kilborn here in just a moment. But first, our friend Heather over at wolvesrealtor.com is here for you guys, the faithful Flagrant Howls listeners, Dex.
That's right. Yeah. In fact, if you want free tickets, lower level tickets to the Wolves Nets game on Friday, April 11th, here in a couple weeks, go to wolvesrealtor.com to register for your chance to win those tickets to see the Wolves play the Nets as the regular season winds down. Plus, everyone who registers will receive a free Wolves logo magnet for your fridge there. So go to wolvesrealtor.com, fill that out for the Wolves tickets and the magnet. Also, if you have any real estate needs, you're looking to buy a house, sell a house, that's a complicated process, but Heather can walk you through it. She's a lifelong Timberwolves fan, season ticket holder as well. Go contact our friend Heather at Wolves Realtor for those free tickets and any of those real estate needs.
You should also go contact Cooper at Bricksworth if you're looking for a fun place to hang before a Wolves game, just down the street from Target Center. They've got some of the best. It's a great combination of some of the best beer you're going to find, craft beer in Minnesota, but also some of the best dry rub wings, Detroit-style pizza, and the signature Naz Reid Hazy IPA. And it's right in the North Loop, close to Target Center, and some cheaper parking options as well. So stop by. It's become a really awesome place to hang before a game. And now that it's becoming patio season, one of the best, biggest, sprawling patios in the North Loop in Minneapolis, Bricksworth. Stop by before a Wolves home game or watch a Wolves road game. Go belly up, Craigers.
And don't forget Manny's
That's right.
Steakhouse. If you mention the code word Lord Kilby,
Yeah.
potentially a free martini.
That's right.
Manny's, the steakhouse.
You
for
are a man
Vikings
of
football.
Do you have an updated pecking order of your favorite Minneapolis restaurants? I know you've Mason Margot has kind of jumped up into your top 3,
Not
top
to
5.
be a snob, but I went once. It's a tasting menu. Demi. From Gavin Kaysen. That's
okay.
Yeah. Happens to be Mark Rosen's favorite, apparently.
Oh, yeah.
But no, it's a good one. I like Mason Margot. I like Manny's, and I had dinner with Finchy at Murray's. Murray's is great sign outside, great garlic bread.
Oh, garlic bread is the toast?
Yeah, the garlic toast, yeah.
Oh, it's to die for.
Yeah, the Roseville Applebee's borderline top 5.
That's where Finchy goes. Just pounds beers.
Why
can't my guys get their act together?
I have a friend out there, my friend Charlie Swanson, but I don't think he told me this. Somebody told me. So there are a couple Cove locations, right? There's one out on Lake Minnetonka.
Yeah.
Yep, there's one in Wayzata.
And somebody told me, because I don't know the Twin Cities. I grew up, Hastings. I don't come back that often, but he says, yeah, the Cove, noon on a Tuesday, Thursday, a bunch of divorcees. There's a bunch of women just drinking up a storm.
It's great.
Midday.
Yeah.
Is that the vibe there or what?
I've never been to
it's
Cove
Wayzata.
at noon on a Tuesday, but definitely sounds like the vibe. Yeah.
Probably in my Mount Rushmore of favorite restaurant people watching, Cove it might be the George Washington. It's firmly on mine.
The old one, and I don't know if this still holds, but it was the Divorcee Central for a long time, was Redstone, which was the Champs guy. He started an offshoot. There was one in Eden Prairie. There was one in Minnetonka. And that's another place where the divorcees would just be packing the place.
See, look how we serve our audience. If you are divorced and you're open for business, there's 2 great options for you right there.
But Cove is great, too, because it's got the great look. It's on the lake there.
It's on the lake. It's beautiful.
Just absolutely gorgeous. It used to be... what was it, Sunsets, which was nice, but Cove way more glitzy.
Yeah.
So can I ask a couple Vikings questions? Because I respect you guys. You guys know your stuff. And I bleed purple and gold since 1970, right before 72, 73, before Chuck Foreman's rookie year. I was watching Dave Osborne and the Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah.
We've loaded up the team. We hope the offensive line stays healthy. What's the concern level for the quarterback play, the most important position? We're all pulling for JJ. We believe in JJ. Can he just be a general? Can he just be solid and we play well?
Oh, I think absolutely. I think you're going to be. I'm not saying that there won't be some stops and starts, and there definitely could be some not great days. But I think he's going to exceed that. I think because I mean what you're basically saying in a funny way is what we said about Favre in 2009 initially, right? Can he manage the game? Can he not throw a devastating pick? Of course he did eventually, but that took a long time. I think JJ McCarthy is going to be a pleasant surprise. And I keep saying this. I guess I'm not surprised in town here and among Vikings fans, but I am a little bit surprised by the national perception of JJ McCarthy's going to start for you. Like, don't you need to go get Rodgers? Don't you need to go get a veteran quarterback? And it's like, no, this was the plan. He is the Kilby. This franchise, as you know well, has been around since 1961. This is the first ever time that they have their own top 10 draft pick at quarterback. Dante was 11. So I think he's going to be absolutely fine. I think he's got the right coach, infrastructure. I think we're all going to be pleasantly surprised. And I think we're going to look back in a year and say, did we really talk about bringing in a 41-year-old guy to play? So I am bullish. And as you know, I am often not bullish when it comes to things involving the local sports teams.
So we've had these guys who come in and have their best statistical years. Gus Frerotte, Brett Favre. Do you know when Warren Moon was with the Vikings, he thought they had a good defense, and then they led the NFC in offense with him. So are you saying that JJ McCarthy, over the next few years, I'm going to give him a few years, is going to be considered one of the top 5 Vikings quarterbacks of all time?
That's an interesting bar because.
And I said 5 because I wanted to say 3, but you guys are acting
not that
like,
high. Yes, he will be.
Well,
Yeah.
and the bar has to include, I guess, like Brett Favre 09 is one of the best Vikings quarterbacks of all time.
Oh, absolutely.
Right, but Brett Favre 2010 is one of the worst Vikings quarterbacks of all time. So that list is Fran Tarkenton, Kirk Cousins is on that list of 5, Dante Culpepper, and then we could kind of debate like the Tommy Kramers of the world and the 1 year pop-ups, the Randall Cunninghams and the Brett Favres.
Jeff George.
Jeff George had a fun 1 year pop-up.
Fall into football.
Get your Purple Daily QB Rehab School t-shirts at scorenorth.com/shop with a full list of all of these names on the back. But on the Dante front, because Judd brought up, or one of you guys brought up Dante a couple minutes ago, that's the best comparable because that the late 90s, early 2000s Vikings, before they went over the cliff in like 2001, that was a ready-made Super Bowl contender with great offensive pieces, offensive head coach. And they flirted with old Dan Marino in the offseason in 2000.
I remember that.
But they decided, let's put Dante Culpepper sat for his entire rookie season. Let's throw him out there, first-year starter with a ready-made contending offense, defense a little bit suspect. He led the NFL in touchdown pass. There's more examples of young quarterbacks sitting for a year and then helping to guide a team deep into the playoffs in their first year than there are examples of 41-plus-year-old quarterbacks leading their team deep into the playoffs.
I should know this. I'm going to ask you guys, you're going to eat it up. Where was he drafted, Dante?
UCF.
11th.
Oh, 11th.
He was 11th? He was
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Brad Johnson trade. So they traded
Brad Johnson.
They traded Brad Johnson because of Cunningham to Washington for the first round pick. And the Vikings actually got a lot of heat. If you guys recall, I believe they passed on Javon Curse, who was a great player.
The freak.
And they passed on the freak, and everyone's like, you're taking a quarterback from UCF? What are you doing? And the comparable there, too, is this. For his faults, Denny Green was a really good offensive mind, really good.
Yeah.
And Denny knew, well, if I plop this kid in with Randy Moss, at the time, Chris Carter. And if you look at what JJ has, right? He's got the ingredients. He's got Jefferson, Addison, what should be an improved line and run game. So, like, I actually do see, despite the fact that they're different players, I do see a lot of parallels here. But most importantly, this is the first time in a long time that I think that you can trust that the quarterback is being plopped into a situation that's advantageous.
If KOC calls the right game,
Yeah.
a lot of pressure on him. Run that ball. The marriage of pass and run.
Oh God, yeah, I love to hear this.
We
Who's
call
the
that a
guy? Who's the
balanced
guy from the
offense.
Niners? How good is the running back from the Niners?
Jordan Mason.
Yeah.
He's sneaky good. Sneaky good.
Better than Cam Akers, because I actually loved Cam Akers. I love the way he ran.
It's kind of miraculous that Cam Akers, who's torn both Achilles tendons before the age of 26, is still even an NFL player. But maybe they can trade for him for a third time if things don't work out with Jordan Mason.
Where was Ponder drafted? What number?
12th?
Okay.
Yeah, considered a reach even in the moment at 12, validated in due time.
I'm fired up for the Vikes. I like how quick. When I see quarterbacks, I like to see how they move in the pocket, because that was my big thing. I didn't hate Kirk Cousins. He was very accurate, but I didn't like the way he moved in the pocket. I'd watch all these other guys. Oh my God, Derek Carr moves better than he does. Garoppolo moves better than he does.
Yeah, you've always been a little overcritical of Kirk Cousins, I feel.
But
Kirk and Ant.
I like the way JJ moves. I'm concerned he looks slight of frame, but so is Joe Montana. It's kind of slender, but he's bulking up right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're all excited. And I just want to say something else. I had you guys on the Life Gorgeous a few times, and I asked a question about the Vikings winning the Super Bowl, Wolves winning a championship. And Judd Zolgad said, if the Vikings win a Super Bowl, this town's going to shut down for 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So my question to you is, if JJ McCarthy is the franchise quarterback and really good, and let's just say top 3 all-time Vikings, the town's going to go crazy over JJ McCarthy, correct?
Statue immediately.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Just like Brett Favre's statue was being created when he dropped back to pass at the end of the NFC Championship game. Yeah. And then they somewhere we've got the Gopher basketball banners collecting dust and the Brett Favre statue that should be out in front of the stadium. But it's a statue, right? It's a statue, 100%.
Oh, if he gets like if they win a Super Bowl and he becomes a legitimate MVP type, which is basically what I think you're saying, Craig. Yes, I think that it will be crazy. You will have never seen anything like it in this town. And I was around for both of the Twins, and it was great. The World Series championships were great. But if the Minnesota Vikings win a Super Bowl with a quarterback who is ours, the Favre year would have been great, but there always would have been it really wasn't our guy. It was essentially a one-night
he would have become our guy, and it would have been hilarious.
I got to admit something kind of pathetic, but I didn't like the way Randle Cunningham threw the football, like something weird.
Too long of a release.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't care.
It came back to bite him at the end of the first half of the 1998 NFC Championship game.
And I was like, I don't want to. I'm okay not winning the Super Bowl with him. I was okay. Really? I was like, I didn't like the way he threw the football, so I was kind of weird that way. Yeah. But obviously, I wish we would have won. Obviously now, but in the moment, I was like, I don't really want to win with him. But my other question is, because I'm like, JJ might get hurt again. You can't have a Nick Mullins type backup. You got to have somebody. You win with Nick Foles. Hostetler was a backup, or was it? Jeff Hostetler was a backup.
He was a backup.
Yeah. So we got to have a good backup. We haven't gotten him yet. And I would take Joe Flacco in a second. Big, strong guy.
They're going to wait. This is way in the weeds here, especially for Flagrant Howls. But like, they're going to wait till after the draft, because if they sign a free agent now, it upsets the comp pick formula. And right now they're going to get like a third and a fourth round pick for next year's draft and all that stuff. But
we're talking a lot of Vikings. I don't think Joe Ingles is watching anymore.
Joe Ingles was on ESPN's afternoon show yesterday, talking about the big 6 minutes he started.
Yeah. He is the best.
I've heard stories about him where if you're he does this with guys. If you're guarding him and your hand's on his body, he just slaps it away. He takes his arm and just knocks your hand down. He's so funny.
Well, listen, I think so. We do want to get you on Purple Daily here in the next few weeks, so you can have a full range to unleash all of your Vikings takes and theories
and therapy as well. And it sounds like you have been hurt and suppressing it, and that's why Purple Daily exists, Kilby, to help people like you. Like you speak for the Vikings fan who needs the therapy.
Yeah.
I had to do a desk chat on the CBS Late Late Show on a Monday after the Vikings lost 41-0 in the playoffs against the Giants.
Oh, yeah.
And I waxed poetic and I said, I don't care. You know, I'm loyal to my dog. I had a golden retriever, and that's the only dog I've ever had. Well, there's a guy named Chris Carter, and he was the best player on the field yesterday. I was like really into Chris Carter. He's my golden receiver. And I did this thing to try to feel better. But man, that killed me. That game killed me.
Devastating. There's a lot. Yeah.
There's a lot to unpack.
A lot
here.
of that in the history of Minnesota sports here.
You need more help, more Vikings PD therapy, and that's why we exist. Damn it.
Craig, if you haven't already, and we mentioned this off the top here, but he does talk a lot of Minnesota sports on his own YouTube channel and podcast too. The Life Gorgeous. Just do a search in the YouTube search bar, and you can find his worldly view on Minnesota sports and life and entertainment.
Great to see you guys.
Thanks for coming on, man.
You betcha. You betcha.
Yeah. Craig Kilborn for the Sports Dad, for Producer Dex. I'm Phil. This is a Timberwolves lifestyle podcast.